Hello, everyone. My name is Gitika Gorsi, and today I am very honored to be interviewing a very special space champion, Dr. Susanne Svensdotter. She has 25 plus years of experience in aerospace and energy, both industry and academia, is passionate about encouraging students to choose STEM careers, and has written several original research publications and presented them at international conferences. She is also an active member in the Royal Aeronautical Society, the Warwick Business School social learning platform, and in the Women in Aerospace organization. She has had many notable achievements, but the one that stuck out to me was her receiving the honorary title of Rolls-Royce Inventor. I'm so excited to be able to understand her journey on a deeper level. Welcome, Dr. Svensdotter. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to conduct this interview.
Thank you very much. And I'm very happy to be here, Gitika.
Yeah, before we get started, and before we get into starting your understanding your journey into the space industry in more depth, first, can you tell us more about your typical day? What do you currently do, and how does it run?
My typical day is I work part-time with product improvement and part-time with process improvement. When I do product improvements, I do a lot of data mining, data analysis, big data analysis, looking at numbers. And when I do process improvement, it's more about either analyzing a problem that has occurred, making sure that we put actions in place so that we don't do the same mistake or similar mistakes in the future, or analyzing risks to anticipate potential problems. In those roles, I talk to a lot of people, because most of the time when you have problems in a process, it's because of communication issues. And as a teacher, I also meet a lot of people, and that is when I work on helping others to succeed, which is something that I am very fond of.
It's so nice to hear. The skills that you learn from teaching others also applies to real world application, because a lot of problems, like you were saying, come and stem from the lack of communication. So I'm sure as an educator, as well as the person in the industry, you understand the value of communication, which is amazing to hear. And I also read that you are trained in continuous improvement practitioner and teacher, where you taught about 15 classes in Lean Six Sigma and nonconformity analysis for a total of over 250 students worldwide, which is amazing. So could you tell us more about this experience?
Yeah, well, that was an opportunity I got from my current organization, which I am very grateful for. I trained as a Six Sigma practitioner, and then I was asked if I wanted to be teacher as well. There was an opportunity, and I took that. And it takes your knowledge about the subject to a different level, because it's one thing to know about a subject and use it, and a different one to teach others so that they can use it also. And I take the opportunity to learn as well, because I learn from others at the same time. And I have had the opportunity to, as you said, do this around the world, meeting different people, learning different things. And that is something I'm very grateful over. And it feels very good also knowing that you can help others to succeed. I mean, one moment I remember very well was I had given a Six Sigma training in Qatar. And 6 months afterwards, I was contacted by a young Saudi Arabian colleague who again thanked me for the teaching that I had gave him and told me that he had been so inspired that he finished his improvement projects ahead of schedule. And that feels really good to hear that, because not only was he happy with my teaching, it also helped him to improve his own work.
Yeah, that's extremely inspirational to know that you were making an impact in someone's
Yes.
life as an educator. I mean, a part of this series really is, if it impacts or helps one person realize that they can be a part of the space industry,
Yes.
That's like a win. Helping just even one person in the right track is very, and I'm glad that you're able to recognize that. It's so meaningful.
It feels very good. It feels very good. Sometimes you don't understand that you actually can have a positive impact on other people's learning, on other people's work.
Yes, of course. And so I'm sure you've had many great experiences like these in the past. So could you share, if you had to pick one most exciting project in research, which project would it be? And what can you tell us more about it?
Yeah. The one which I thought was the most exciting was actually last year already. I did a couple of years earlier, I went back to school to study for an MBA. And part of my final work, I got the opportunity to study the carbon neutral strategy of my current organization. We are an energy company, currently mainly working towards oil and gas, but trying to make better. So, I had people laughing at me for wanting to look at the carbon neutral strategy, because they say that, you're in oil and gas, you cannot do anything. But it was amazing to see the passion that people have to make the world better, also in a company like where I'm working now. So that was a very, very interesting study and very exciting. And I got to talk to people at all levels of the organization and all over the world. And that was really gratifying.
Yeah, that sounds like an amazing experience. I mean, when I first read it too, I was like, wait, am I reading right? She was working at an oil company and then working with such an eco-friendly project, which is really
Yes.
amazing to hear that every part of the industry is really looking towards saving our planet.
Yes, and it has to be, people don't often think about it, but there is a lot of competence in the oil and gas industry that can be used for renewable technology, for improving the world that we have.
Yes, of course. And so, kind of diving a little bit away from your work and what you've been doing, I'm curious to learn more about where your passion really stemmed from. So, did you always imagine yourself in the position you are in today, or did you have some twists and turns in your education or life journey?
Well, I have had only twist and turn. I did not at all imagine that I would be sitting in the French countryside working with turbines. That not at all. Actually, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a veterinarian. It turned out that I'm allergic to animals, so that was a bad choice of career. Technology has always been in my family. My father is an engineer. My mother worked as a secretary at the university's technical faculty. So when I had decided that I was not going to be a veterinarian, it was just normal for me to go into technology. I ended up applying to all the faculties within the technology section at my local university. I was admitted into the mechanical engineering, and I loved it from the first day. It was really something that I like doing, and I felt really good with the subject, with the people I met. I chose energy technology, where among the subjects I did, I came into turbo machinery, so turbines, jet engines, steam turbines, compressors, pumps, and that fascinated me. Then towards the end of my studies, I got a proposal to go to Switzerland for a summer and do a summer stage at the Technical University of Lausanne. I did that, and it was fantastic. That's when I learned about the academic world. And I liked it so much that then when I finished my studies, I contacted them again to ask if there was a position as a PhD student. They didn't have anything for me, but one of the persons there had just gotten the position as a professor in energy technology at the technical faculty, the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. And he asked me, do you want to come here and do a PhD? And I said yes. And I had a great time. It took a long time to do my PhD because when I came there was nothing. It was a section which had been, it was a department which had been neglected for a very long time. So we had to build it up from the beginning, which was interesting. Then I got an offer to go to Imperial College in London to do a postdoc, which I did. And then I got an offer to go to Rolls-Royce Defense Aerospace. I did that, discovered that I also loved working in industry. And then I left the industry. I left aerospace because I moved to France for family reasons. My husband is French. And that is when I ended up in the energy sector. And that's, you know, aerospace is a passion of mine. So I instead started working voluntarily. That's why I am a member of the Royal Aeronautical Society and the Women in Aerospace. I'm also a member of a French organization which wants specifically to teach girls, to encourage girls to do STEM, choose STEM subjects in schools. So I do that, and it's really gratifying.
Yeah, that's so inspirational. I mean, first of all, I just have to say it's amazing to see how there's not only people who are directly having a job in the space sector, but chose to do that as like a part-time sort of because they're interested and passionate. And I think that goes to show that if you want to have two careers, multiple careers, it is possible in the space industry. There's so many societies, clubs, and programs you can be a part of or start yourself. And I think that your journey really shows that. So I want to thank you for sharing, you know, a different angle of the space industry.
Thank you.
And so how early were your passions identified and did they ever change over time? Like, for example, you said you were into space and you got into engineering because your parents were also, you know, in the technical side. So was there a moment that kind of shifted you or were you kind of always driven in that path?
I can't say that I dreamt about it when I was a little girl. As I said, I was rather into, I like animals. So even though I got sick every time I cuddled one, I think the passion hit me. The passion hit me when I entered Rolls-Royce. That is when I really felt, I mean, until then, yes, it was an interesting subject and I learned a lot of things, but the passion was when I arrived to Rolls-Royce. That is when really I said that, yeah, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, basically. Then it changes with time. With my voluntary work in Royal Aeronautical Society and the Women in Aerospace, I have learned to know people who work in the space sector. Especially for me, the interest comes in the launcher department. I mean, the people who do the rockets that actually shoots up the satellites. Because the technology is very similar to the jet engine technology, and we often see each other at the conferences and in clubs, etc. So I've learned to know a lot of people, especially in France, who work with space, and also around the world. And so, and with my studies at my business studies, I learned to know a lot of people who did work as entrepreneurs or who are planning to start their own companies. And I discovered that there are many new companies in aerospace, electric airplanes, driverless flying taxis, all kinds of companies who wants to use space technology or to analyze satellite data, etc. And I discovered that my competencies could help them. So I've also actually now come up with a new passion, and that is long-term to help startups in aerospace, aviation, and energy as a board member. So I'm actually contemplating starting on yet another training, which is to learn how to become a board member, so that in the future I could go into non-executive director roles in boards for startups or new companies. And that is something I really want to do.
Yeah, the opportunities are truly endless and limitless of what you can do in the industries, like regardless if it's aviation, aerospace, or even energy. It's just there's so many things you can be a part of. So I think it's really, it's nice to see that you are able to continue with your passions and still incorporate it and integrate it into your lives. So I'm curious, every person, in their journey so far has had obstacles, whether it be big or small. So I'm curious to hear whether it be because of your, gender, because you're a female, or because of your family background, or, just because of the education you chose to take. Were there obstacles in pursuing your passion? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I have, of course, met obstacles within myself because I was very good, still am very good at telling myself that I don't think I can do that. I had to train myself to ignore that. So nowadays I just notice that I have the thought that I can't do this, and then I do it anyway, or I try. The first time I thought about it was when I got the offer from Imperial College to go and do a postdoc, because it wasn't quite the subject I had been working in. I was offered a post to do programming of aerodynamic codes. And I had never done a lot of programming, and still today I do not see myself as a coder. I code in Python for the moment. I still do not see myself as a coder. But my original reaction to this offer from Imperial College was, no way, I can't do that. And I remember my colleagues at the Royal Institute of Technology. I was the only woman in the group at that point. And I talked to my male colleagues, and they were all staring at me as if I came from outer space or something. And they said, you're crazy. If I get an offer like this, I will go and I will learn what I need. And so I thought, yeah, why not? The same with my MBA studies, because that had been a dream of mine for a very long time. And I had always thought, I don't think I will be admitted to a school. And then there came a point in time when I thought, I'm going to apply anyway. And I did, and I was admitted, and I had a great time. And I graduated with distinction. So I did a good job as well. So inner barriers, yes, I have faced myself a lot. And that the only thing you can do about that is to learn to fight it. External barriers, yes, of course. You are a female. And for the last 20 years, I have also been a foreigner because I don't work in my country of origin. I do speak French very well, but I'm not a native, and that is heard. These type of barriers nowadays are not, you don't hear people say, she cannot do this job because she's a woman. It's more subtle. And so it's more difficult to fight. And the only thing you can do is just to continue trying. You can join clubs where you network, do pep talk with your female colleagues, because one risk when you meet these type of external barriers is that you start doubting yourself. So it's a good thing to have discussions with female colleagues or other minority colleagues. I am seeing it as a point of view of a female, but any type of minority can have the same barriers. Pep yourself, pep others, and get a mentor. Get a mentor that you can talk through things with. And a mentor can also have ideas for how you should do things to get around the barriers, or learn to ignore them, or improve yourself so that you can overcome the barriers.
That was very beautifully said. I can't even, I related to so many of the things you said only as a high school student myself. I mean, first off, whether it be the internal battles, everyone I feel like has that at least once in their lifetime, whether it be like the imposter syndrome, or you think that you're just not good enough for a certain industry. And I think like what you were saying about surrounding yourself with that right community and putting yourself in that right positive mindset. I mean, so I always lived by this quote, which I've mentioned a few times in my interviews, which is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, which is a famous basketball quote. And I always like, ever since like I started, because I'm a basketball player, ever since I was a little kid, I started like listening to that quote, and it
Yep.
guides my life too, you know, because you were saying you didn't think you would get into the MBA program, but you did it anyway, and you did get it in. If you didn't even try doubting yourself, you wouldn't have gotten into the program because you didn't try at all. So I think
Yeah,
that's a testament to
exactly.
show. Just try it. You never know
Try,
what's
try,
there to
try.
lose.
Yeah, try, never know. You will fail sometimes. That's okay. It's painful to fail, but you always learn something. And sometimes you actually learn more from a failure than from succeeding the first time around.
Yes, definitely. And the exterior battles as well, whether it be because you're a female, a person of color, or just anything in general, being a foreigner, your accent, anything at all, they're all
Yeah,
battles on the outside, and surrounding yourself with the right people instead of the negative ones is always important for positive growth.
yeah.
And so, what was key to helping you become knowledgeable about the industry? Did you have a mentor, an internship, a volunteer role that helped you?
I did not have a mentor from the beginning. I spent a long time also thinking that, there's no point in giving me in getting a mentor. That's yeah, a stupid idea. I should have gotten a mentor the moment I entered the industry. I have one now. I have two, one within my organization and one outside. So that is one way of learning, especially when you are sort of a different person. You are not the mainstream. It's very good because you can ask the mentor, should I communicate differently, or what did this mean, and how should I navigate the organization? But I struggled a long time on my own. So I have, learning a lot of things, reading about the industry, asking people. Be prepared that people think you're stupid just because you're asking questions, and ask questions anyway. Try things. It again goes back to try things and accept failure and learn from failure. But I would recommend to read a lot when you come to a new organization. Read a lot about the organization, think about it, and ask people.
100%. And you were saying how, yeah, some people will come into the mindset that asking questions is wrong. And my teachers always tell me and tell all the students is there's never such thing as a wrong or dumb question, except of course, some people don't realize that. And
Yeah,
sometimes it can be nerve-wracking. So if you don't know something, always finding that support system. I feel like there's a lot of programs these days compared to, like 20, 30 years ago. Now there's a lot more programs like AIAA and different mentorship like the Brooke Owens fellowships. There's so many opportunities out there where students can explore, network, and find a mentor. So
yeah,
definitely getting
yeah.
a mentor is very important.
Yes.
And so now kind of moving a little bit away from your journey, as honestly, it was very inspirational to hear from another woman from a different country and learn about her experiences. But I'm also curious to learn more about the excitement of the industry in your perspective. So my question is, what excites you and what makes you nervous about the future of the space industry?
What makes me nervous is, the state of the planet, the climate change. That is not specific to the space industry. It's all of us. Wherever we are, whatever we work with, whatever we do, that is a very serious issue. What excites me is what the space industry is doing to survey the Earth. I mean,
Yes.
planetary surveillance. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't know. So that is extremely important. It is perhaps a bit depressing for the moment to know how bad it is, but it is important to know. And also how you can use space data, the ideas I hear from people of how you can use space data to improve.
Mhm.
Improve weather forecasts, improve communication, improve transport. There is so much things that we can use space data for to participate in creating a better world.
Yeah. And, I think there's a lot of people who don't understand the value in the space industry's program. They're always like, oh, you're investing and other planets, not our planets, but there's 1/3 of NASA's budget, 1/3 of NASA's like work is literally geared towards understanding our planet. It's not exterior missions, but just working on our planet. I mean, the reason we're able to detect climate change, the reason we're able to figure out, how the icebergs are melting is all because of the space industry, satellite data tracking. So really the space industry is valuable in many ways. And thank you for bringing up that important point, because I feel like a lot of us just overlook it.
Yeah, and that people don't think about it also, that even if we go to other planets, the technology which is being used can later on be beneficial for our planet. So
Yeah,
it's not a waste of money.
of course, like whether it be GPS, I mean, I'm saying GPS because I'm a new driver and I know that helps me a lot. But whether it be the GPS, your phones, your computers, we're able to talk from different areas of the world because of space technology. And so it's been a huge part of our lives, not only technically wise, but also medically. It's helping a lot more scientific advancements to help the human body are increasing. So, space industry is very applicable to humans here on Earth and is very applicable to our planet.
Yeah.
And so, my last and final question for you to wrap up the interview is, what advice do you have for young students across the world regarding their pursuit of a passion in the STEM field, or specifically the space industry, something that you wished you knew when you were a younger student?
Well, one thing that I definitely would have wanted to know was the choice you make for your school, for your education, doesn't have to define you for life. I remember thinking when I was choosing my studies that, what if I do it wrong? What if I choose the wrong thing and end up doing something that I don't like or won't manage, etc. And the thing is, you can always change. You can always learn new things. And the things you do learn, even if you don't use it, they're not a waste. They are knowledge. You can always beneficial from it one way or another. So that would be my advice. Don't think that you are dooming yourself for life because of the choices you do right now. And another advice would be, again, don't hold yourself back because of fear for the unknown or because fear of failure. Try. You will fail. Learn to learn from your failure. That's very important. It's painful to fail, but as long as you learn something for it, it's actually, for me, I always see it as a good thing. I mean, as I said, it's painful to fail, but learn something for it, and you have benefited anyway.
Yeah, I think the theme around your advice is all about learning, which I deeply resonate with, and is extremely important for all students to remember. It's so easy to get caught up with those numbers, those grades, and think that I'm making the wrong decision, my whole life is going to be ruined. But taking every experience as a learning opportunity, whether it be a different subject that you chose to do, or whether it be a failure, there's a great saying that if you're not trying, if you don't fail, that means you're not trying. So it means that you're not learning anything. So I think it's very important to always remember to keep trying and keep pushing. So I want to thank you so much for taking your time and sharing this amazing advice with us, as well as your story so far.
Well, thank you for inviting me. One thing that I've realized during my career, at least at the age I am now and the career I've had, is that it's very humbling and gratifying to realize that part of my knowledge can be beneficial to others, especially students who start their careers. So I'm really grateful for having been invited to do this interview. And for everyone who is listening, best of luck with your future careers.
Thank you so much.